Hey guys, Vito here. You see me on the camera a lot, but the person you don't see, the man who makes all the magic happen behind the camera, Joe, we're actually brewing today for his wedding. We're gonna walk you through the entire process of this special brew day for his upcoming wedding day.
All right, man, this feels pretty different to be on this side of the camera, but what are we drinking here, man?
So this is your beer for your wedding. It is a Belgian Quad by style, but it is a clone of a specific beer, which I'm gonna bounce the question back to you. What is that specific beer and what does it represent?
So this is the St. Bernardus Abt 12 Quadruple Belgian Ale, a beer that I shared with my soon-to-be wife on our first date. And so it became a very special beer in honor of that first date, a beer that we loved, and the memories around it just continued on. So it was a special occasion beer. And so as our wedding approached, I came to you and said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we brewed a beer for our wedding and gave it out as a party favor, which ended up into this beer.
And I remember looking at the calendar and I'm like, we need to do this within the next month or two.
Yes, we
in
were
order for this
to
to age well and get, especially we were talking about bottle conditioning it. And that's, I guess, a good segue to like brewing for a friend's wedding, right?
That's right. And so, that became a whole kind of lineup of events of scheduling the brew day and then figuring out were we going to package it in specific bottles, what was the label we were going to do. But let's talk about the beer. Let's talk about the brew day. So had you ever brewed a Belgian Quad before?
I never brewed a Belgian Quad. I love Belgian beers as well, so I brewed a lot of Belgian beers, so I was very familiar with the yeast, different how it acts and things like that, but never a Quad specifically. Having brewed a ton of beers, I know we were going to use like a good Belgian Pilsner malt, and not much else. That's what I love about Belgian beers is they taste like there's a lot going on, but it is very simplistic, right? It's doing a lot with a little.
Yeah.
A lot of different flavors. The yeast is the big star there, but there's also the Belgian candy sugar that's a big part of it as well.
We look two different types of candy sugar in there. That's like and so that's a fun one. Instead of like in your boil editions, instead of like multiple hops, like if we're brewing a Pliny clone, we threw in multiple candy sugar additions. We just threw in one hop, and then I think there was a flame out, but two candy sugars. So that's like the big one. That's why it's this viscosity and
a lot of boiling, a lot of caramelization that happens in the kettle is important to this style. And those came through beautifully in the beer. You get these caramel notes and also like fig and prune and raisin notes, from the phenolics. I'm stoked on how this came out. All right, so end of the boil. We knocked out. We had this hooked up prior in a whirlpool loop. So I was pulling from here, pushing through there, doing a whirlpool, got an immersion chiller, was dropping my temp, got below that 80 degrees or close to that 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm ready to transfer my wort. So then I took off the QD, hooked it up to the X2 right here in the sample port. So I'm just pushing into the X2 without any outside oxidation or any chance for that. So end of the brew day, it was amazing. Thanks for hanging out and see you soon. Let's talk about the fermentation right now. With Belgian yeast, specifically Belgian Saison yeast, not the French Saison, but the Belgian Saison, it has a tendency to kind of like, you'll get through primary fermentation, then it's gonna stall for a little while. What I did at that point, and I think I remember talking to you through that, is raise the temperature and rouse the yeast, which again, we were shooting for a target of 9.1, so I'm kind of watching it. Okay, boom, it's time to drop the temperature and to hit that number.
So we hit that 9.1, which is our anniversary date, September 1st. So another little Easter egg, which the details really do matter in something like this. So that ended up being perfect. Elisa, my soon-to-be wife again. By the time you're watching this, she'll be my wife. But she came and helped us out, so we got to bottle condition, which was also you were a little bit worried about that, but you knew we had to bottle condition. Tell us about your signature method of bottle conditioning.
Yeah, so bottle conditioning is traditionally what I do in all my Belgian beers. A lot of them are like lambics and gooses and things like that I think that was important to this style. The bottle conditioning helps create that flavor But it needs time again. So that was like put into the schedule of like, hey, we need at least a month or so on the back end, if not longer, that it'll have to be in the bottle to be ready to be enjoyed the day of the wedding. So I use champagne yeast in here and douse it with a little sugar. I'll get an active slurry of champagne yeast, do it in a graduated cylinder. I'll use a pipette. And just basically pipette it in there. And I, like I said, I've had great success doing that before, so I knew that method. But again, there's a lot of variables, and I think there's a lot of trepidation and nervousness that comes along with brewing for a friend's wedding. You want it to be good, you want it to be special, you want it to be enjoyable.
Yeah, when we told Chris that we were going to be bottle conditioning, he was like, "Oh, good luck." Yes. Our plan was we talked about wax dipping, we talked about corking. We got all the corks. We had a corker. Didn't quite work out, so we had bottle caps. It's always good to just, on that day, as we had an assembly line set up of all of us doing something, the corks weren't working. We just had to quickly pivot to bottle caps, and obviously it turned out great. So
yeah, I love that. I love it. It reminds me of so many things that we're working on where people are like, well, that sounds crazy, and I'm like, that's what I want to do.
It's worth it. It's worth it. For the labeling, shout out to GrogTags. Vito recommended them. I'd never used it before, but man, this bottle came out amazing. We're super excited about this label. The price was amazing. The design tool on the website was awesome, easy to customize to our liking. Putting them on was much easier than expected. I was kind of worried about that, but so recommend GrogTags. Like, again, if you're going to be bottling something and giving this as a gift, having a label that's custom and to your liking, that puts the final touches on it, seals the deal.
Yeah, these came out amazing. This is awesome.
Before we cracked into this, we also cracked open to that St. Bernardus and we tasted these side by side. What do you think? How did it turn out in your mind?
Man, really close. I mean, you know, when we were all tasting it, I heard the word, like, I couldn't distinguish this, you know, and I'm proud to say I think they are very close. Slight differences, as I would expect. These guys are actual monks. I just act like a monk.
Yes, exactly.
You know, so you know, that I think we did really good. We got really close. How we got the recipe, we looked at a bunch of different recipes for St. Bernardus and kind of like took like, oh, here's a string of truth that's running through all of them.
Maybe we'll leave the link below for you guys. You guys can check out the recipe. We'll give you that. So.
But yeah, I think we did really good. I think it's really close. You know, it really hard to tell the difference. Fresher, obviously, right? Like the bottle has traveled across the seas, and you know, it's had time to age. You know, maybe 6 to 8 months from now, they'll be like really indistinguishable.
Yep. That's what's cool about giving this as a wedding gift is, you know, we'll tell people in the know, they may know to kind of sit on this as a special beer. People who maybe have never had this style before, they may crack into this and be like, what the heck is this? But that's what's cool about this. We'll kind of throw a few in the closet and we'll crack them open over the years. That'll be our plan, is see how they develop. And that's what's really cool about bottle conditioning, is they'll continue to develop, they'll continue to get better. So it's the gift that keeps on giving, truly.
Stoked for you guys.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Anything else? I think we're good, right?
No, I think it's time to just kick back and enjoy this beer.
All right, man. Thank you.
Cheers
thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.
Yay. Good job, you guys.
We're pros.